happy Friday, and thank you for joining me live today. We are talking weird, wonderful, and woo-woo ways to deepen your desire to crack on. So, of course, we're likely to touch on some sort of practical steps to build your intrinsic motivation, but it's always fun and useful, I think, to get insight into some more kind of unusual or alternative ways where we can kind of enable ourselves to get shit done, basically. So joining me today, I have got the beautiful, people are waving at me. I've got the gorgeous Emma, friend, business bestie, you know. She is, joining me today to talk about the weird, wonderful and woo-woo ways. And Emma is a chronic illness coach and mentor. She loves her Reiki, crystal healing, you know, everything, all of that wonderful stuff that we all us woo-woos love. And she is a huge advocate for the kind of holistic approach to health and self-care practices, and using kind of alternative complementary ways to help you manage illness, but also to go from that kind of surviving place into that thriving place. So what I'll do is I will get Emma in now. Emma, if you want to send a join request, and we'll get you in. Thank you everyone who's joining. Lovely to see you as well, Heidi. Ooh. There we go. Let's get.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Can you hear me all right, darling?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. So excited.
Fabuloso. So thank you so much for coming and joining today. I really appreciate it. One thing I've noticed, I didn't say this to you, but we on lives, we just have to be very aware of the back and forth, because if both of us are talking at the same time, it just cuts the sound out completely. And me and you, for anyone that doesn't know, me and Emma, we do like 7-hour Zooms. We're quite the chatty Cathy's, aren't we?
Just a
So Emma,
tad.
do you want to... Sorry?
Just a tad. I think we've got a delay here as well, haven't we?
I think so. We'll just have to be slower than usual. Keep it chill. So do you want to give us a brief intro, who you are, who you help, and how? That would be brilliant.
But I think you've covered most of it. Thank you so much for a wonderful intro. I'm just going to say hello to the ladies and gentlemen that are joining us. Hi, Louise, as well there. So yeah, I predominantly work with ladies that have chronic illness. For me, like you said, it's all about the holistic approach and alternative approach to obviously for me and the ladies I work with managing their chronic illness. But I think, and what I feel very passionate about, is there's not one person on this planet that hasn't got something that they want to deal with or address, etc. And to use a holistic approach, it's also complements orthodox approaches as well. So you're in a safer zone. You can have a little bit more control, a little bit more empowerment, and and have your say, which I think is really important. We all deserve to have a great life, and we can achieve that, I believe, if we do that bit of inner work, and that's what we're here to talk about. And that's today, aren't we? Motivation.
Absolutely. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, exactly. Like, regardless of, obviously you work predominantly with people with chronic illnesses, but there are, everybody I know has got some kind of something going on. And these, taking a holistic approach, I think, really lends to self-maintenance. Yes, self-care is self-maintenance, but also does actually take you from that place of I'm simply coping with this, and I'm managing this, which you hear a lot. I mean, obviously, with your background in the NHS, the words managing and coping are bandied around a lot, and it's like in let's say traditional kind of medicine, or whatever you want to say, it's that's the point that people are working towards. You want to be able to manage or cope, but actually you're saying, no, screw that. We want to absolutely thrive. We've all got an absolute, you know, we're all entitled to live our best lives, and you know, and if taking a holistic approach and finding what works for you enables us to do that, and doing that inner work and everything else, then fuck yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it is that, especially here in the UK, people don't wish to invest in their health as much as those that aren't as privileged to have things like the NHS. We that's our go-to thing. Unfortunately, over the years and the conditioning we've sort of that's been involved, we then don't look within for answers. Even to today, I'm sure we can all talk about one thing that grandma's recipe for this, or you know, like little sayings like, you know, trust your gut instinct, you know, all of those things are there. And all of the holistic realm, the spiritual world, because holistic and spiritual, I think is connected. They both go hand in hand. What that means to me, I quite like the title woo woo, but what it means to me on a deeper level is that we are taking that responsibility for ourselves, and we are actually having a say rather than handing over all the control to somebody that's been through, you know, med school, etc., etc. Let's look back at the ancestral things that are there for us to use, and use our intuition, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've really made a very good point there, something that kind of got my cogs whirring. When I was younger, let's say, you know, in my 20s, I was relying on going to doctors and things like that to kind of find solutions to the challenges I was experiencing with my mental health and things like that. And the solutions, let's say, or solutions that I wanted more than anything, just weren't available, absolutely not available to me. But I had a resentment that I had to help myself. I thought, well, that's what you're there for. This is what I pay my taxes for. You know, you're there to be the solution, to offer me solutions, to offer me guidance, to offer me help. And then over the years, as I started to look inwards and work with myself, you know, educate myself on certain things, and, you know, start to put things and implement practical things, as well as my own kind of like, yeah, woo-woo, spiritual, alternative, holistic approaches. That has made all of the difference. That's not to say that I wouldn't still go back now to seek help in, you know, from traditional kind of methods. But I always feel very, very disappointed, let's say, when I do, because the level of insight that I have now actually prevents me from getting the help that I need, because I'm managing, I'm coping. So yeah, it's nuts. So anyway, oh, sorry, go on.
I'm just saying that is exactly what we do. And we also have this expectation that somebody that isn't in our shoes, that's been to med school and, you know, gone through all that training, and let's face it, doctors, they're training for the rest of their days, you know, and there is definitely a place for that. There's a need for that. And without them, we wouldn't have a better understanding of all the horrible illnesses and things in the world to try and live a better life on that scale. But if we have expectations of a doctor to have the magic pill, the magic cure, whatever, we just set ourselves up for disappointment. And the more disappointment we go through, the more traumas we endure, and the further away from our true self do we become. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. So that was our very first tangent of the day, not what we were going to start off with at all. More to come. So let's go into, so obviously for anyone who's watching, if you know me and you know Emma, then you'll know that we are both woo-woo as fuck, but we have very a similar thread, but we do obviously, you know, divert away. So, you know, it's quite interesting really when we talk. So should we talk about, like, first of all, what we mean about deepening the desire to crack on, because I'm not sure if people are going to necessarily understand. I mean, from my perspective, what I mean is about it's cultivating intrinsic motivation. So you don't have to give yourself a pep talk every day. You don't have to kind of like jolly yourself up in order to get things done. It's already innate. It's already within you. And you don't even, it's almost like once you've built that in, it just becomes, well, intrinsic is the only word I can kind of think to use here. It's like you don't even think about it anymore. It's just, it's there because of all of the other stuff you're doing. So that's really what I mean by that. But what about you? How would you describe that deepening of the desire to crack on?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. For me, if it's not intrinsic, so for that, even that word itself, for me, that has to be both interesting and deeply satisfying. So if something's interesting and deeply satisfying for me, like you're saying, it just becomes your natural default. It just becomes a habit, like waking up in the morning, you know what I mean, cleaning your teeth in the morning, things like that. So if it hasn't got that level of interest and satisfying, then it becomes a chore. So
Yeah.
it has to be, that's where that intrinsic level of cracking on, like you said, if it's something you've got to be very mindful of, and I mean mindful in the wrong concept there, is in, oh God, I've got to do this today. It becomes a chore. Then you're not going to do it. You've already put barriers up and we're already thinking of the sunshine outside, aren't we?
Yeah. So it's about I suppose it's about overcoming the resistance without having to try to overcome the resistance. It's about doing all of the other stuff so that if you meet resistance, you know how to move through that, or you know what to do with it when you meet it. So it's about having that, that ability, and you're not just like, oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do that. Like, because for me, when I do this, all the stuff that we're obviously going to talk about, like when I think, well, I don't know, something really silly that I hate doing is putting petrol in my car. I'm like, oh, I've got to get petrol, and I put it off, and I put it off. I don't know why I don't want to get off. Like, it's really ridiculous. But when I'm in that zone, when I'm in this place where I've been, when I look after myself and everything else, I'm just like, oh, I've got to get petrol. And the worst thing I do is go, oh, and I think, oh, it's just, and I go and do it. I don't hit the resistance. I don't hit the barrier where I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, like, because it's something so silly, but because I feel good on an intrinsic level, and because I've done all of the other stuff that actually doesn't require too much hard work and effort, let's say, I don't have to then bolster myself to get, to pull my finger out to go and put some frigging petrol in my car.
Yeah. And if you don't put the petrol in the car, then the car's not going to work. Then you're going to get more overwhelmed, more overthinking, more harder on yourself. Because the first thing you're going to say, if only I'd have put the petrol in the car. Then you start to go on that whole, negative self-talk. So yeah, and it is exactly that. If something is fun, to me, if it's not fun, it becomes a chore. And that is especially relevant when you've got chronic illnesses, but when you've got your own business. If you're a solopreneur, then I think, it's more important. And like you said there, it's sometimes resistances are there, but unless you're sort of a little bit more in tune with it, you don't realize it's a resistance that can be misinterpreted, and then it creates more of a resistance. Because it's like anything, if we just naturally do it because it's fun, it's satisfying, we don't overthink it. We don't even think about it. So we're eliminating all of the negative things that can affect our emotions, that can stop us enjoying the day, enjoy what we're, the things that we've got ahead. Can I just say, we're talking about here motivation and stuff, and the chakra for that is the solar plex, which is yellow. We're both in yellow, so there we go.
Well, there we go. Obviously, something in the ether.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything you said, absolutely spot on. And I think that it's, for me, it's not necessarily about fun. It's just about it feeling right and it feeling good. So, like, I don't know, there's loads of examples I could think of, but it's not even about the thing that I need to do. It's about everything else that I incorporate into my day-to-day life in order for me to be able to do the stuff that I need to do that I am usually dead against doing. So it's getting that self-awareness there, so you can say, okay, well, I know if in a week's time I've got to do something that I really don't want to do, then I best take care of myself all week, so that when it comes to doing the thing I don't want to do, I'll be like, oh, I've just got to get it done, and it's no problem. We've all got to do things in life that we don't want to do to a degree, but making it easier, and turning it into something that actually you feel a sense of, let's say, satisfaction, as you say, like after you've done it, it's a tick in the tick off your to-do list or whatever it may be. So it's about that, isn't it, really? So like let's talk about, let's start with, right, so we're talking about some of the more woo-woo ways that we do this, things that we like to incorporate into our lives, let's say, so that contribute to that sense of motivation, that sense of purpose, and all of that intrinsic stuff that is almost not even, you're kind of like, I call it like being mindlessly mindful. I know it's a really strange thing to say, but that's how I kind of refer to it. It's mindful, it's aware, you're aware, you're conscious, but it then becomes mindless, it becomes automatic. So let's start with using your intuition. So how do what does that look like for you? How do you tap into it? How do you use it? Like, what does it look like what does it mean? What does it mean, Emma?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
I think it actually does mean something different for each one of us, because we have to remember that obviously just our human design is so different. But what we can, for me, the whole holistic and the woo-woo world, as people have put these things on, can put people off, and it shouldn't put you off, because all you're doing is making friends with yourself. And the day you become your own best friend and you treat yourself with the same care and compassion as you would somebody else, whether it be a stranger or a loved one, then at that point, then you are your best advocate, you're your biggest cheerleader. And that's, I feel, just take work. And a lot of people say, like shadow work. Shadow work is yeah. It's so simple, and we actually do it without realizing. And that's the thing for me with everything holistic and everything that's woo-woo. We actually already do elements of it ourselves naturally. We just don't have labels for it. We don't need labels for it. So shadow work obviously is a lot to do with my background, but we actually do that every day. When something pops up in our world, if something can pop up 10 times and we don't recognize it or we don't acknowledge it, but at a certain point we will acknowledge it, we will recognize it. And when we do, it's then for us to do something about it or pop it back in the background, in the shadow. We all know that if we put it in the shadow, it's going to keep coming up, because that's what happens in life. We've all experienced that. And some people say you've got to face your demons, whatever. The day that you do start to acknowledge and act on those things that pop up, because you're resisting to it. And while you're resisting to it, you're not addressing it, but also it's stopping you moving forward. And normally the things that we have in the shadows are the things that we maybe don't like about ourselves as much, or the things that through life we've been told to suppress. Like we were saying not long ago, like you just said there, we're chatting. In school, you would have been told, oh, Emma talks too much, if only she this. So we suppress that, we put it back. Actually, we won't be here today if we weren't chatty people. But we do sort of keep these things in the shadow. So I think it's really healthy for us to actually pay attention to those things, because that's who we actually are. The shadow is not who we're not. It's not a demon, it's nothing bad, it's a part of who we are. And by addressing all the things that pop up, whatever label you want to put on it, we become more whole. And when we become more whole, we then have all of our own superpowers, because everything we have within us is a gift. I believe that's my what my belief on these things. We all have different gifts for different reasons to use in different ways, but you've got to kind of get to that. And by acknowledging those things and understanding yourself better, and that's a continual journey. It's not something you do and that's it, because we evolve, don't we? So when it comes to motivation, I'm going to use business as an example. I think that when you get to know yourself better, you then understand the things that make you more satisfied and fulfilled and happy, and those that don't. So within your business, there is going to be elements that you're like, oh, I've got to do that. And there's more resistance to others. And you can find yourself doing more of the other and putting that off, procrastination, dilly-dallying, whatever you want to call it. But to actually embrace yourself and turn that into an element that is fun, then you become wholer again and you can function in a business better, which means the rest of your life, which is impacted from that. So for me, the inner work was the most important because I had the illnesses and my illnesses were taking over. They were defining me. There's a reason why I have the illnesses. That probably sounds really strange actually, but every symptom comes from something, and the more I resisted not accepting my illnesses, the more they became a hurdle, the more they became an obstacle. Now, with my illnesses, chronic illnesses, there's not a lot of advice out there. So you keep going to a doctor, you keep going to medical professionals, you do the Dr. Google thing, which is as scary as fuck, is wrong as well. And your head's even more mumble jumbled than before, and you're not getting, as we were saying before, the answers you want, because really we don't know enough about some of these illnesses. So again, it was like, I'm not ready to be on the scrap heap. There's got to be more to life than this. I want more for me. We're all want different things, different quality of life. So to tap into the holistic realm, which was something I was more interested in as a child, always been fascinated with crystals, always been fascinated with energy and how we feel and how being around certain people lights you up and others drains the hell out of you. You know, all of those things. There's reasons why these things are highlighted in your own little world. But then with life and starting work, lost all of that. You know, life took back over again and you have to suppress those things. I felt given, you know, a stumbling block in my life because I've got something else new to deal with that took over. But in some ways, it was a blank canvas to recreate me and understand me again. So I started to look at my energy because my energy is really badly affected with my illnesses. So that's where all the spiritual work came in, especially the Reiki, the chakras. Like we've just said today, we're wearing yellow. So for motivation within the business, it's going to affect, my solar plexus is affected by that. Now, if it's underactive, so it's blocked, then I know then that's where I'm feeling lack and trust of myself, more weak-willed. You know, these days I'm like, oh, I can't do with this. And, you know, I'm like, oh, just there's no stimulation there at all. There's no motivation. That is when I now think, do you know what? There's a reason for this, but let's work with why there's a reason for this. Sometimes it's not apparent, sometimes it takes me some time. But simple things like today I'm wearing yellow. To wear yellow when your chakras are blocked, so your energy isn't flowing and you're not your full vibrant self, just wearing it helps. Eating a banana helps. You know, using lemon essential oils helps. So anything linked to yellow will actually help you. And is that such a big deal to wear yellow or to eat a banana unless you don't like bananas? Or to have lemon essential oils, or to even, you know, sit in the sun. You know, you don't have to be actually in it, but those things are God's gifts, the universe gifts to us to help us. You're charging your energy without having to put any effort in whatsoever. For me, I'd have crystals around me because obviously they're a living thing and they amplify, so they help speed things up. So if I've got like citrine or something like that around me, anything, again, yellow's tiger's eye, they will help amplify and make that process quicker for me. If I need a massive quick result, then I would go to have Reiki or do Reiki on myself because you're balancing things quicker. Now, it can also be the opposite where it's overactive. So if it's overactive, so your motivation can be lacking because it's overactive because you're right. Doesn't matter what your coach says, doesn't matter what the doctor says, you know best, That's the other side of the chakra being overactive. But again, we can rein all these things in and soothe these things because your body's giving you symptoms here. They are symptoms. Your body's not feeling great. It's like your car, you know, if you've not put petrol in your car, it's got to start kangarooing before you run out.
Yeah.
It's giving you a big sign. Our body does that. So I feel that I pick up on these things quicker. So if I wake up and I'm feeling great, but my illness is to strike at any point and I'm losing that motivation, I surround myself with those things. So surround myself with yellow, and naturally I am already healing myself, and I've not had to do anything. I've not had to think about it. Yes, I've thought, oh, which crystal should I have that's yellow? You're drawn to these things. So it can be so easy to help ourselves. You don't have to go and have a degree in all of these things. So for me to work with chakras first gives you a bigger insight into your energy. And then from the energy then comes, I will definitely then go for an oracle card. What's the day got in store for me? Am I on the right path for this? Just for a backup, because if you're not feeling motivated, self-doubt can come in quickly. So I would then go to an oracle card or a tarot card, or speak to a friend that's the friend that will help uplift you, because you stimulate each other. It's all about stimulants, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a lot to unpack there, Emma, as always. Me and you, and our like 15-minute voice notes on WhatsApp. So everything you've said, yeah, tick, tick, tick. I think that's the longest I've ever been quiet in my entire life. Like, you see me like, I've got so much to join in. So definitely, I think, what you're saying effectively is it comes back to that self-awareness. So right from the get-go, it's identifying those things within yourself, and then it's choosing your modality. It's choosing what works for you. And if you're already in this weird woo-woo world that a lot of us are, it's finding what works for you. So, I mean, I don't personally, I do a bit of chakra work, and I do a bit of crystal stuff and things like that. I've got my amethyst on today, and blah, blah, blah. But that wouldn't be my first port of call. But for me, first of all, it's being self-aware. So identifying, how am I feeling? What's my energy like? What do I want to do? What don't I want to do? Like, all of those sorts of things, which really don't require, I mean, I do journal, they don't require half an hour of journaling. You can figure all that shit out in a split second. It's a knowing. That is tapping into your intuitive self and then you can take it a bit further, go into higher self, sit, meditate, talk to the universe, do whatever it is that you need to do. But it starts with self-awareness. Don't get up in the morning and go into robot mode. Don't go straight into autopilot. One of my rules is no technology. When I wake up, my alarm is not on my phone. It's I've got like a sat lamp thing. Don't open my laptop straight away. Give myself a little while before the weight of the world is on me, so that I can tap in, tune in to how I feel, and get in the zone and set the tone, as I like to say, and figure out what do I need right now in order to either make me feel better or to amplify the good thing that I'm already feeling, or whatever it may be, like as you're saying. And talking of resistance, the things, there's a saying, what we resist persists. And when we're talking about the shadow self and the inner work, there are parts of us that we're like, oh, I don't like this bit of myself. So we tuck it back under the table, brush it under the carpet, so to speak. But it's all about, for me, creating a safe place in my body. I've been doing a lot of work with nervous system and stuff like that, because I noticed that I was well out of sync just over a year ago now, totally off kilter, just like, what is going on? My brain, my body, my emotions, everything was all, they weren't linked at all. What I was thinking wasn't how my body was acting. And it was really quite frightening, really. I was just like, what is going on here? So having that sense of self-awareness around that was really, really important for me. And the resistance, I think it's more about, it's identifying it. So the Stoics always say the obstacle is the way. And so it's offering you, the obstacle is offering you a big friggin' magnifying glass with a big friggin' lantern, like going, woo, it's over here, spotlight, you know, here's the obstacle. And then it's looking at that obstacle, looking at that resistance, and saying to yourself, okay, is this due to fear? Is this due to the fact that I just don't want it? I don't want it. If you don't want it, get rid of it. If it's not fear, it's just something a should that you've put on yourself. Fuck it off. Don't worry. You know, there are some things that you can easily sack off and get rid of if you want to, which I think a lot of people haven't quite given themselves permission to do yet. So that's another thing about using your intuition, is like saying, okay, well, why am I beholden to this particular thing? Because I feel I should, because I feel I ought to be. But if it doesn't really have a negative effect on you or other people, if you sack it off, but it's like you're carrying a burden, like, get rid of it. Don't worry about it. It's that, I mean, you know, it's simplified terms. It can be that easy. And then, so yeah, it's about tapping into that intuition every single day. And I mean, I do it with my witchy rituals. You know, I love a witchy ritual. So new moon and full moon, I'll always do something to, you know, I do like cleansing rituals, get rid of all of that energy, anything that feels icky. You know, I'm a big smudger as well. If I've had someone round and I'm like, oh, they're all right, but like, I just want to get rid of their whatever it may be, I'm like, ugh, I waft them out the door with my sage, you know, ugh, don't come back. Also, things that, because I want to sort of really gear this towards things that, like you were saying, that we don't have to think about too long and hard. We can just intuitively know what we need in that moment. But then that, you know, start with self-awareness, tune in, then you will know what it is that you need in order to get over what it is that you need to get over. Music, sound is a big one for me, massive, because I live in a terraced house and my neighbours have got the most horrid energy, and I can feel it when I can hear them. The way they speak to each other is really unpleasant, and I can feel like it's seeping into me, you know, and I'm like, no, I've always got my protection around me, but I can feel myself getting heavier and heavier. So to combat that, I have to put on, I mean, it changes on a day-to-day basis what music I want to put on, depending on how I want to feel in that moment and what I think is going to repel what is being pushed towards me. So sometimes I use like binaural beats and stuff, different, you know, can't remember the word now, but you know what I mean, there's different sounds and stuff, but different frequencies. Sometimes I will put on like some, you know, chakra chants and stuff. I'm a big VAM girl, you know, it's all for me, it's all about the sacral. So I'll sit here going VAM. I think, if anything, it's pissing them off, so that's fine. And another time I might put on, I don't know, some tapas bar music and just sit here and give myself a little shimmy, shimmy, shake, you know. Or I might even get up and do some Shakti dancing or whatever it may be. I know in that moment what it is that I need. And if we're all honest with ourselves, we all know in that moment what we need. It's just tuning in, you know, being self-aware, tuning in. We don't have to carry this shit around with us. We really don't.
I think it's giving ourselves permission as well, because like you said there, we are born with intuition. You know, when we're born and we come into this vessel, we don't know how to ask for attention. We don't know at that point that crying will get us that attention. We don't know that it's just an instinct. It's just natural. No one teaches us how to walk. We kind of have that in us. We know that taking these steps are safe. And I think that's one of the key things. If we give ourselves permission to trust ourselves and back ourselves, then we will take the necessary steps to seek or do what we need to do. Now, it is about most definitely self-awareness. And the more you step away from the things that condition us and you step more into yourself, the stronger that becomes, because we're allowing it the freedom to literally just ooze out of us. So we're not thinking about it. It's just naturally there. And I think also the other thing is, once you've given yourself permission to trust yourself, you are then just open. And when you're open, you realize that your subconscious will not send anything your way that you cannot deal with. At that time, if you don't want to, that's your prerogative, but it won't send you something that's harmful to you. It's actually over the years protected you in its way, which served you well at that point, but now you don't need that. It's no longer serving you. So we do need to shed things. Also, we also need to shed and get rid of the shit and the baggage that we've carried for so long, because on a day-to-day basis, something that we need to release might be a happy thing. Today, this particular song in this particular way has helped me, but tomorrow I might never need it again. So it's not always got to be a negative. It's not always got to be that we face up to bad things. Just literally allowing ourselves to be us. Like you said with music, if you're somebody that will only listen to a certain type of music, you're not allowing yourself to be free. Every day, something will come on the radio. It might be the beat, it might be the words, it might be anything that just triggers you. That moment in time, you need it. And if you are able to literally react to it, you benefit from it. Like you said with smudging, I smudge everyone. If anyone starts even having a negative Nora moment in this house, Camille's just joined us and she'll laugh because my stepson at one point, God, I smudged every frigging 2 seconds with him. I follow him out the door. Do you remember? And we even had a conversation. How can I do this? It's becoming expensive. All this kind of things. It was like, but like you said earlier on, you protect yourself. I protect myself with a spiritual cloak. I protect myself with my sages. I protect myself with different musics and stuff for different frequencies. And with that, I feel safer in my zone. So I've got my safe area, which then I feel allows me to just face the day and do whatever I need to do. I'm not now, there's no rules in this. There's no, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. You know, we use, like with the Akashic Records, you've gone into training and literally you've gone a lot deeper into me. I love it, but you've gone that extra because you need that possibly more for you and your clients right now. For me, that doesn't serve me as well. I'm doing the belief coding because that is something which I'm of my philosophy and my intuition tells me that what we believe, which is scientific.
Oh, you've muted, Emma.
Have I?
Oh, yeah, there you go. You're back.
I think my battery's getting low. So yeah, so the emotions that we are and the way we react to things is because of our beliefs. So for me, belief coding is the next step for me and my ladies, my clients. That's better. Because we want to shed those things. What we've been picking up on all of these years, you know, it's not who we are. We go to school, and by just going to school and being told that, you know, this is the book, this is what you have to do, this is the way this is, that might not be our belief. You know, we might not be of that academic nature. And then if you're not of an academic nature, you feel like you're failing because your reports are not great. And you might be somebody that needs to be more visual than, do you know what I mean? Certain teachers influence your life in different ways. But that conditioning starts so young that we have so many benefits here and it helps liberate us, but it also strips away who we are. And unfortunately, at some point in our lives, it does catch up with us. I believe we all end up in the place where we have to address certain things to live that better life, or stay in the, it's not a nice word, but the victim mode. You know, when we're constantly in action mode, we just destroy our own energy. Why would you want to do that? Why would we not want to help ourselves? And by just looking after ourselves, like, and all that means is doing whatever pops up, like you said. If you get up in the morning and you think, do you know what, I fancy a cup of tea, get a cup of tea. You think, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really need a cacao this morning, I go and get that. There's no rules and regulations. It's our body, our life, our world. We, you know, and if you create a safe environment for yourself to nurture and grow, happy days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it really does it. So again, it's boiling down to that's cultivating the self-awareness as key, because no matter what your belief system is, there are ways in which you can navigate this that are potentially, you know, more unusual than your average Joe or Jane. and then it's about having conviction in that you know it works for you. I mean, my therapist years ago, 20 odd years ago, said to me, "It's your process, Louise." And I was like, for some reason, that was mind blowing for me. I blew my niece's mind when she lived here, when she said, "I wish I could have pasta for breakfast." She was 21 at the time, and I was like, "Who's stopping you?" And she was like, "Holy shit!" And it changed her world, you know, because finally somebody said to her, "You know, you're allowed to do what you want when you want, right?" So obviously we all have certain, like restrictions to a degree, but within those, you can create whatever it is that you need based on self-awareness, getting that intrinsic kind of, getting that intuition in place, becoming really aware of the little things that need to change, but also the questioning of what the status quo is potentially, and knowing that if somebody has a particular way, like I've got a friend whose dad is a philosopher, and he said to her years ago that you have to choose a path and stay on it. And I said, "Well, that's bollocks. I don't agree with that," is what I said. I didn't say it's bollocks. I said I don't agree with it. But I think I swore, probably, knowing me. I'm like, I want to cherry pick, man. I'm like, "Oh, I like a bit of that. Oh, I like a bit of that." And eventually, over the years, I've created my own way of doing things because, as Avril said to me, my therapist, "It's your process, Louise." And everything that I do now serves me. If it's not serving me, I'm like, okay, we need to think about this one. And it's not hard, it's not scary. Doing this inner stuff is liberating. You're going to have to get comfortable with being a bit uncomfortable at times. You're going to piss a few people off, right? But those that you piss off, like when you set boundaries and stuff, they're the ones that need them the most in their life as well as yours. You're doing them a favour. When you're setting boundaries with yourself, I mean, I have sorry, my cat's just got on the table, wobbling the camera around. On Friday, I have a little chat to Monday Lou on Friday, and I'm like, "Right, Monday Lou, what don't you want to do today?" And then Friday Lou says, "Let me take that off your plate, girl." And I do all the things on a Friday that Monday Lou does not want to deal with. Now, come Monday Lou's like, "Well done, Friday Lou, you freaking legend. I can't believe this, you know, it's brilliant." So that's why I don't hate Mondays, because Friday Lou's got my back, do you know what I mean? And it's little things like that. And when I talk about this stuff out loud, over the years, you always get met with confusion, judgment. People go, "The fuck, man, it's just life. You just got to do it. You just got to get on with it. You just got to do what." No, I don't have to do as I'm told. I don't have to do anything the way in which, well, it's always been done like this. I don't care. I don't want to do it like that. Or, "Well, it's easier if you do it like this, Louise." Not for me. It's easier if I do it like this. Like, if I've got a weird, I'm very particular. I'm going to call it particular about certain things. Putting the shopping away. My old housemate, he'd come in and he'd put the shopping away. He'd put things in the right place, but on that day wasn't the right place for me. So I'd be like getting them all out, putting them in different places, to the point where then he started coming in and just putting the shopping on the floor, like put the bags on the floor, and then he'd walk away. And my friends were like, "That's so rude." And I'm like, "No, he knows that that's what needs done." And it was a beautiful thing. That was our process. And they were like, I'd hate that. And I'm like, "I hate the cupboards being not how I specifically want them, and I expect him to be a mind reader in that moment." So it's like having that self-awareness, having the ability to pick these things up for yourself and say, "Hang on, why am I doing it like this? I don't like it." So yes, okay, let me find another way then that does suit me. I don't give a shit whether you agree with it or not, or whether you question it as much as you like, but this is my world. This is my process. This is my life, and I'm only going to appease myself throughout this. And by doing so, I will show up so much better for everyone else. Everyone else gets best version of me because I'm looking after myself as I would my best friend, my mum, my nan, whoever it may be. I am deserving of that same love and care and attention as everybody else in my world. So I definitely think that having those, and something else I wanted to say, so I'm kind of trying to segue it with like something else that I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? You talk for a minute.
So I was just going to say there, it's like you said, when people say that's not the way it's done, it's always done this way. Well, actually, if we look at ancestral thing and we look at ancient ways of doing things, we're actually doing it the right way. Because everything that we are talking about here and everything we are doing, this isn't a modern day thing. You know, the witchery things, the woo-woo things, the spiritual things, they have been there longer than we can imagine. A lot, and that's how it was society at a time that put a stamp on that decided this isn't the way, you know, with all the burning years and stuff like that. It's horrific. That's not okay. So no, actually, what we perceive as the way it should be done today, that's the way it should be, is wrong. And if it was right, then why is there still a need for it? Even in orthodox medicines, it still starts off as a holistic thing. You know, you look at medication. You know, opium is one of the biggest contributions to our analgesics. It's just that it's manufactured. We receive the manufactured version. So why would you not use herbs and spices and, you know, certain foods that are there available for us, which the universe, Mother Nature, etc., put there for us? That's the reason it's there. It's not there just so the tree looks great or the garden looks great. It's there for us to use, and if we use it in the right way, we benefit. But unfortunately, we've become this mass-produced culture, and that seems to be the norm. So no, if we really think about it, even the things that we say and the things that we do are natural. Like I was saying to you on one of our chats, if you've banged your leg, you've banged your knee, you naturally go and you touch that knee and you soothe it. By soothing it, you are actually then stimulating the positive vibes around it, and it's the natural healing. And while you're doing that, you're stopping your nervous system from literally telling your brain you're in pain. That is the most natural way for you to calm pain down. That is something we do without thinking. What we do when we cry, when we're touching our meridian points, it's natural. It's just human nature to do things, but unfortunately the world we live in, we're drawn more and more away from that. You mentioned there about the moon. You know, as you know, I'm training and I will very soon be a moonologist, and with that, you know, it's a feminine energy. The moon is feminine, so with that, and it doesn't mean just say women benefit from that, but that was the only way many years ago people could tell what the season was, what was needed from them, what their body needed, because it was the seasonal foods, the seasonal fruits. They knew through the moon what time to plant these seeds, what time to plow the field, what time to do these things. That's always been there. That's always been there, and it influences us. There's jokes of the full moon and what's going to happen and all these things. But if we use it to our advantage and we take advantage of that energy, which energizes us, we can set our intentions at the right time. We can literally dump all of the shit that's no longer serving us and be unapologetic about it as well. We can have a right good rant and get rid of crap and baggage and all the bullshit. And then 2 days later, we're full of life, we're full of freedom. We've made space for something more positive. Let's embrace it. And where's the harm in it? There's no harm in it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that, you know, obviously we create the world around us rather than evolving to fit in with what we have around us, let's say. And we're very removed. I think a lot of us are very removed from what I would call the old ways, and you know, whatever was evolutionarily kind of correct for us. But there's a huge shift now going back towards that kind of stuff. So I think that actually a lot of people are awakening to this, like, you know, there's lots of people out there doing sort of rewilding and grounding, and people actually, you know, the biggest advice, the biggest tip out there at the moment is get out in nature. Like, we're all realizing we're continually consumed by the digital world, you know. and not going out in bad weather, things like that, I find obscure, because it's like, God, the human race has survived and thrived throughout a hell of a lot. We're capable of so much more. I mean, that's another thing I think of when I think about, you know, our capabilities as human beings. Like, of course you can do the thing that you want to do, because look how far we've come, you know. And then going back to what you were saying about the kind of ancestral stuff, and, you know, I'm big on like Akashic records, parallel quantum lives, you know, or past and future lives, if people are, depending on what your beliefs are around time and space, etc. And what fascinates me about it is that there's insight to be gained from all of these different areas: human design, belief coding, you know, everything that you and I do. It takes us deeper and deeper into an understanding of not just ourselves but others. And then that understanding enables us to live a better life and to serve others better as well. Sorry, somebody's just asked to be in the video. No, sorry, you can't come in. Not your live.
I think that is a really important point there, because, you know, we are capable of doing whatever we set our mind to. We truly are. And if at that moment in time we decide to do something but we're not sure how to go about it, it will come to us. That is the amazing thing and about us. You know, we are ever evolving. We are just an amazing creature. We really, really are. And we have so much power inside of us that we do not utilize. Our brain, the mind, is just so powerful. Everything is guided by that. The mind-body connection is just mind-blowing. And that's, for me, and again, it goes back to that intrinsic motivation, what we were saying. And I said in the beginning that if something deeply satisfies me and it's fun and enjoyable, that's why I keep delving deeper. When I find out new facts about us, or you have those aha moments. I mean, look at ceremonial cacao, you know, it's a big buzzword now. It's not something new. It's been used for many, many years. Again, that can be used in many different ways. It's great when you want to really connect to yourself and open up the energy. It's great if you want to literally do some meditation with it. But it's great if you want to just drink it and give yourself a boost in the day and get rid of brain fog. Everything has different uses. Like you're saying, there's so many different modalities out there, and a lot of them, people like belief coding. It is a new thing. It's founded by, you know, by Jess, and it's absolutely amazing. But it's actually taking many different other modalities and putting them together. So what she's doing is new, but all the modalities involved aren't new. And for me, the exciting thing is, I know its potential. I know her potential, but all the different things that come under belief coding are just so powerful on their own. So to bring things together, but that's what we do as a human being. Every single modality that we learn, and if we enjoy it, it's because we're attracted to it. And if we're attracted to it, it's what we're meant to be, understanding. And that's, I believe, that what we need at that time. So whether it, you know, it's like for food, if you fancy, like you said, if you fancy a bowl of cereal at midnight, does it have to be in the morning? Who says that? It's just rules and regulations. In fact, you know what? If you break those rules and regulations and you're safe with it, you're going to have far more bloody much fun in the fucking long run anyway, because you're doing it your own way. We have to do it our own way to an extent of safety, because if we don't, we can't use our full potential. And we can. I was literally told by the NHS, I'm unfit for purpose. I'm no longer needed. My brain still bloody works. Yes, I've got brain fog, and yes, my chronic illnesses have took over at that point. But it's like, in some ways, them being complete beats made me think, fuck you, I ain't doing that. And it drove me. And a majority of us that start to look for a different route, it comes from passion, it comes from anger, it comes from that way, which, you know, anger and all those things are seen as a negative, but they can become such a bloody positive. We can use these things to our benefit, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, because I've talked about this a lot before, is like, so creating a safe space within yourself to feel what you need to feel, not trying to distract yourself from things. It's just saying, you know, I'm going to be sad at times in my life. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. I'm going to feel all of it at, you know, various different times to various different degrees. I need to create a safe space for myself to be able to allow it, sit with it. It's there, rather than try and push it away, push it down, whatever. And yeah, and as a result, I mean, I always go back to art really with this. Each art movement was spawned from either, you know, inspired by the one before or in rebellion against the one before. And so there is an anger there, using your anger and your frustration to say, well, do you know what, that isn't right, so I'm going to show you that that's not right. But as long as it comes from a place of love as well, not from hatred, because I think that's the thing, is you can't, cracking the whip of hatred doesn't actually bring forth anything positive. It has to be an anger that is born from, no, we are capable of more, and which shows that love is there to say, I mean, a really silly example, I was told that I broke my toe and I was told I'd never wear heels again. And I was like, all right, so hobbling around to frigging, you know, absolutely kick off for them to even give me crutches, even though I couldn't put my flat on the floor. Try saying that when you bump you. I haven't, by the way. This is my kombucha. I know, it's because I've got this new thing where I'm like, I'm going to use all my fancy stuff all the time. Why not? Why do I keep all my fancy glasses? So I'm like, no, I'm having a kombucha in a gin glass. Thank you very much. But yeah, so I couldn't put my foot flat on the floor and yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I was like, well, that's bollocks. So I went to the osteopath and he went clonk like that, and I was on tiptoes by, you know, about an hour later. I was like, well, if you try and, so what you're saying, I think, and what I'm kind of like roaring about, if you're passionate and you're saying, no, I do not accept that. I will not accept that this is how it is for me now, is it? No, I ain't having that. Like, I know the power of the human mind, the human body, the human spirit. Yeah. And I know the power of everything that's around me, the power of the universe. I know, I mean, fuck me, placebos. Let's look at the placebo effect. Even when you know it's a placebo, it can still work. So I'm like, you know, I'm all about tricking myself. If it works, I don't give a shit. So all of these modalities, all of these things, whether people think they're bollocks or not, if they're having a positive effect on you and they are working for you, I don't give a shit that you think I'm a nut job. And in fact, I revel in the fact you think I'm a nut job.
Exactly.
You know, I love it. I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. Works for me.
Yeah. Exactly. That why do we have to use that word? It's like with someone like times, even when I work within the NHS, because of my thoughts on things and not being afraid to air my thoughts on things, I was like, you're asking me a question. If you don't want a proper answer, don't ask me, because you're going to get the answer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize what's going to come out of my mouth, because it's how I'm feeling. But also, I ask questions. If I'm unsure about something, I ask, because isn't that what we're meant to do? We shouldn't just take an order and take it. If it doesn't sit right, again, comes down to your intuition, then if it doesn't feel right, it's not for you. If it drains your energy, it's not for you. It doesn't mean to say it's not for somebody else. Of course it is for somebody else. But this is our life, our way, our time. We aren't going to get this. There's no dress rehearsal here. If we don't embrace what we can and learn about everything that's out there that comes to us, because when we need it, the universe, whatever your beliefs are, sends it. It all of a sudden shows itself and becomes apparent. You know, it's like, it can be on a TV, it can be just pops into your mind. And like you said, if it's not harming us and others, then it's needed. And it's sent to us for a reason. Me, if I can't deal with something, I don't even put it in my shadow. I ship it off to the bloody universe and say, come on, dream team, get on with it. This is causing me a headache. I'm spending too much time on this, because then I will get frustrated, and then comes my procrastination and everything else. I can't be asked for that shit, you know? You not deal with it. And whether or not there is such a thing as my dream team that's going to sort it out, I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's off my mind. I've delegated
You know,
I feel powerful because it's delegated.
I always think this is, so you saying that, it's interesting because I went through a big old, I don't believe in it. I was I went through a nihilist phase, let's call it, and there's still a bit of me that's like that, It's so much fun.
Yes.
I started to look for, basically, I do all the same things. I was just giving them different reasons and justifications, let's say. So I would always tell people that if you've got a problem, don't sit and consciously think about it. Move it to your subconscious and ask your subconscious to sort it out. And so, science, right? Okay. But actually, it's the same thing as asking your spirit team, saying, okay, right now, or the universe, right now, I don't want to be consciously thinking about this. I know there's a solution. I know I need to work through it. So I'm just going to defer it to you for the time being, higher self, spirit team, universe, Nan, whoever it is.
Exactly.
Look after it for me. And when it's appropriate, it's going to pop back. And I think that is, whether it's the way the mind works, whether it's the way the universe, who cares? Whatever belief system you have, it's I don't want to say it's irrelevant because it matters to you, but it's irrelevant to other people.
Exactly.
Because if it works, who gives a fuck how or why? That you stand firm in the knowledge that this is what works for you. You get to choose your beliefs. We all do. That's the whole point of beliefs, isn't it? I choose to believe this, and then it becomes your own knowledge and your own awareness and what works for you and what's right for you. So, I always say to people that you need to become your own lighthouse, really. That's what you need to do. And you need to say, every time you don't know what to do, you look back within. Don't seek the answer out there. Come back to self, because every time you do that, the answers will appear.
And don't force that either, because sometimes the answer's not going to come there and then. It's like, I remember someone say, well, I've meditated on this for 10 minutes and nothing's coming to my mind. Well, actually, that's not what it's all about. It's like, anything, manifestation, you don't just think, I want this and there it's going to come. Yippee frigging do that. We'd all be happy as Larry and live in a weird world. But it does take action. It does take, and some things have to literally come naturally. They have to come within that flow. And when you're focusing or forcing, you're bringing that negativity into it. You're literally coming from a place of lack then and desperation and stress and worry and anxiety, which doesn't help our own energy. We're making a big deal out of something that really should be fun and harmonious. It's a moment of joy, and it's not going to work because that's not how it should be. It should just naturally happen. And if we all sit there and think about a time where we've had amazing memories that pop up, if we think about those times, was it something that was planned out to the second? Was it something where we've had to really think about it? Most enjoyable moments come like they're spontaneous. They've literally evolved from something very small, and we've just gone with it. And that's because it's meant to be like that. If I said to you now, you're like, I'm so and I say, right, get your shoes and socks off and go and walk on the grass. It's not going to happen if you're thinking, well, she's just said I've got to do this, so I'm going to do it. You should naturally want to do it. If you don't naturally want to do it, then it's not the right thing for you at that moment. And everything you see on social media, I think people need to realize that even what I say and what you say, if it resonates with you at that moment in time, that's what you need to act on. If you think, oh, I really like the idea of that, it's still there. It's in your memory bank. It won't disappear. If it's meant for you, it will happen. And it should just be, again, we're coming back to that intrinsic motivational moment where it's a natural motivation, not a forced motivation, because it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said for being present and being in the moment. And I think for me, I'm human design generator, blah, blah, blah. I have to be in the moment. If I'm not happy in the moment, I sort of go into a bit of a weird shutdown kind of thing. I've got a very skewed perception of time, whether that's potentially ADHD or whatnot. There's lots of things that go on, like my let's say I don't get excited for future goals if they're too far off. I find them very very hard to hold on to.
Yeah.
So for me, bringing my sense of purpose back and living that in the present moment on a day-to-day basis is what then keeps me going and keeps me moving forward. It isn't the goal. I mean, I do, I visualize the outcome, I do all of those kind of things, but embodying it and living it moment to moment, doing what feels right and what feels good now, having what I've got like a thing called the ultimate to-do list, which some of it's got deadlines, some of it hasn't. And if I'm restless but I don't want to do the thing that I'm meant to be doing right now, I'll just go over to the ultimate to-do list and go, oh, I was meant to reply to a friend the other day and I said to her, oh, I'll reply to you in a bit. I've just got a sudden urge to jet wash my patio. So in that moment, that's what I did. So
why
I finished,
not?
so I finished jet washing the patio. And then after that, I was actually feeling so in the zone that I managed to finish off the new guide that I'm putting together and stuff, where I'd written some of it. I was like, and I was like, I want to just sit and write this now, and it was done in a heartbeat because it was flowing out of me because I really wanted to do it in that moment. And I think that those of us that feel like that, it's our duty to ourselves to cultivate an environment as best we can, given what we, given our restrictions, let's say, cultivate the environment where we actually get to live that out on a day-to-day basis, because it means so much to us. We're so much more creative, productive, actually fun to be around and all of those things. People think that when you say live in the moment or be spontaneous or let things be organic, that you just sort of like a bit flimsy and wishy-washy. But actually, for me, everything that has power and action to it is the stuff that I'm creative with. And that's me.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean everyone, but that's what works for me.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, Emma, because I would love to do a 7 hour. No, we should do an all day live event, shouldn't we?
Frigging, you know what? It made me laugh because I've got to tell you guys this. Lou put on, like, we've been putting messages between each other, and one of them said, if we get stuck, we can talk about ourselves. And I was like, I actually thought she was having a frigging laugh here. We literally do. Our word will be, do you fancy a quick chat? Do you fancy a quick Zoom? 7, 8, 9, 10. I think the last one was 12 hours later. It was hilarious. And then she's put, in case we get stuck. As you can see today, this is how we are. We can talk about anything. And I think that's the fun thing. And that's because we both do. We have a lot of appreciation for that embodiment and that sort of thing, isn't it? It's like in this moment now, we are talking about this, not scripted. We've gone off script if we were scripted, and we're trying to help other people. And we feel that the way to help other people is by being our authentic self. Because if we can't be our authentic self, and like you said earlier on in your way of saying it, for me, it's like, I'm not apologizing for being who I am. If you guys don't like the way I do it, I get questioned, well, you're holistic and you're this, but you take orthodox medication. And
so,
I might be the most spiritual person there, then go and have a bottle of vodka. And why does it matter to you? If I'm happy in my little world, come and join in. Be happy in your world, and all of our worlds will be just amazing. And that's where I think with this, even if someone asks us the question, we're both on it with our answers, because you should be like that. We should be living for the moment. Goals are great, but the minute the word goal is there, I feel there's an overwhelm. And for me, I can focus too much on that and miss all this in between. I could get run over by a bus tomorrow, not reach that goal, but I want to enjoy today just in case. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's finding it. I think it's striking a harmony, isn't it? It's saying, okay, well, future self needs looking after. Future everything needs looking after. Of course it does. And I've got these big frigging ambitions. I want to achieve all of this stuff. But if I'm not happy on a day-to-day basis, what's the fucking point? I'm not, I'm a grafter. I'll work my absolute arse off. But you know what? It's not healthy for me to be like that. I sort of hyperfixate on things, and then I end up burning out and making myself ill because I've worked too hard. So when I have my regular breaks, and people kind of go, well, you know, you've got to push harder. I think I have, you know, what I don't need to do is push myself harder, because actually that will grind me to a halt. So the way that I'm going about, I understand myself and I know myself. So don't you come at me and tell me that you know better, because bitch, I didn't ask.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so
Yeah,
it is this
yeah.
being unapologetically
And
you
taking
and
it a journey, isn't it? So what you're saying there is like, for me, I say, if you're only focused on the destination, what happens when you get there? You want to get there, but you want it to evolve again. So if you enjoy
yeah,
that journey, so if I say, right, I'm going to lose, but I might stop 2 times, 3 times, I might see something, God, that's beautiful, these to get that for Instagram or whatever, you just do it. But in the meantime, you're still going to enjoy what you're setting out. And that's why I love the word ambitions. Ambitions
mm,
comes with, it lights me up. The minute someone says to me, you need to set your goals for the next 12 months, I actually
mm,
will just put anything on paper. I'm honest. I know where I want to get and I know what I want to feel. But when it comes to any future self work, again, for me, it's got to have my heart and soul in it. It really has got to come from that place, because I've got to enjoy it. I've got to really want it. I've got to have a passion for it, especially when it comes to business. Business is hard. It's
yeah,
There's no easy way to encourage anyone to go into business. I just feel you've got to literally just go with it. You have got to go with it. There's many times with it, I think all of us must have experienced, where we think this is just not working, give up. There's no such thing as failure, it's giving up. If you choose to give up, that's fine. It's not wrong. It's not for you at that time. You might come back to it later on. But we just keep going and keep going and keep going. People say, how do you keep going? We just do. And I think
because
there has to be an element of,
it's intrinsic.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
and
But
I'm
so
a
it's got to
big
be that, and that's got to be there.
yeah. It is. It's an intrinsic thing for me. I always say, you know, I'm not very good at being consistent, but my persistence is like off the
Yeah,
freaking charts, because there is no other way.
yeah,
I'm compelled forwards into doing what I do and being who I am. And the more confident I become by putting my own friggin', you know, taking my own medicine, let's say,
yeah,
the more I'm capable and the more I'm able, and the more that I turn up with this side of myself, the true, authentic me, the more that other people, it resonates with other people, and they
yeah,
go, holy shit, yeah, you're right, I want a piece of that pie, mate. You know, and
yeah,
so when it comes to goals, I don't really set goals. I have ambitions and intentions. So my day-to-day is intention, but I know it's going to happen when I get up, and I know all I've got to say, like, if I want to start working out again, and you know, a goal would be I want to lose 2 stone. An ambition would be I want to feel good in my body and be a lot healthier than I am right now and feel stronger. That's my ambition. My intention is I'm doing a workout today.
yeah,
It's that easy. I
yeah,
don't have to think about, you know, working out for every day for a year. I just think I'm going to do it today.
yeah,
And I do it. I get up and I do it. I get on with it.
yeah,
And I
without
always come back to
overthinking
that
it.
same thing, because it's just adjusting your perspective and your
Yeah,
perception of what's going on around you. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that this shit works for everyone. And I'm not saying that the goal setting and smart goals and all of those sorts of things don't work, because of course they work
yeah,
for some people. But the people who are left in between, there's some of us who are literally sitting there going, I know what I need to be doing, I just can't fucking find why I can't do it. That is what the people that I work with
yeah,
bought a £2,000 course and never completed it,
yeah,
right? Instead of them going and buying another £2,000 course that they're never going to complete, and again learning information that they're already kind of aware of, they just want to step by step. I'm going to be the person to help you to can do the stuff you need to do, so you can go back to the money you've already spent.
yeah,
You don't need to buy
yeah,
something brand new.
yeah,
You've got all of this. You know what you need to do.
yeah,
Whatever it is that you feel you can't do it, that's what I'm going to help you with.
yeah,
Like, so that's where my kind of like, that's where I kind of come in with
yeah.
people,
And I love that.
particularly women who are undiagnosed ADHD, you know, people who have like pretty much have had a diagnosis but not an official one just yet, because there's a lot of us out there and we're fanning around going, can't get any help, and Christ, the self-diagnosed hate the club are out in full, and that's why I don't self-diagnose. I'm like, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I don't fucking know, do I? But, you know, if the votes are in and it's like 99% likely. And I want, you know, I just want to make sure that people are able to give themselves permission, get over their own bullshit. That's why I put together this new guide that's going to come out in a couple of weeks. And,
it's amazing. And what you put together is amazing. I think it really is. And I think there is such a void now. There is that gap, because if you need those goals, the goal setting things and all those things, that's out there for you. And that is brilliant. You know, we both know some amazing people that can help people with that. But if you're the type of person that's not working for, there isn't anything else out there for you. So I'm just really super stoked about what you've created and what you're offering, because like you're saying there, it's like it still affects the ladies that I work with. You know, they tried everything, nothing's working. You're then getting this mindset that it's like, it's me, there's something wrong with me, it's working for others. I see others out there. You start to, you know, compare yourself with others and all the bullshit cracks in, and then you like invest in somebody else because you think they're the person that's going to show you how to do it, but it's still not authentic enough for you. So where do we go? And I think that's where we fluster and get in our own heads, and we literally ruin ourselves, because we then really start to get hard on ourselves, and we don't deserve that. We can and we deserve to have exactly the same as everyone else in this world. Whoever we aspire to be, whoever inspires us, we have the ability. And I love, Lou, how you've taken, you know, that's the void, that's the gap that you feel. And you know, I just love, like when you say get shit done, that is as easy as that. We don't need no fancy frigging words. We just need to get shit done. The frustration of not getting shit done, we have the capabilities, we just don't know how. And that's why I really do love what you put together. And yeah, I'm excited for that to get out there, because there's so many people that need it.
Fabulous. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's just, you know, I work with the people that have got to that point where they're like, right, fuck this noise, I'm going to do something about this, I'm determined, I'm ready, I've had enough. And it comes from a place of love, it comes from that place of wanting best, like what's good for you, what's good for yourself, what's good for other people. You know, I'm not going to be like, I don't work with people that are still kind of need to be convinced or encouraged. You already know. If you know in your heart and soul that you're ready, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's the same with the women that you work with as well. It's exactly the same thing. They're at that point, they're like, no, do you know what? I deserve to live a freaking well good life, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I've had enough. I'm going to do it. And it's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the thing. It isn't exciting. If it's not exciting, it's not fulfilling, and it's not ticking all your boxes, don't even go there, because you're setting yourself up for another fall. But if you've got that grit, the grit and determination's in all of us. If what you're hearing now is literally giving you those goosebumps on goosebumps, and you're you know, the phoenix inside you is ready to frigging well explode and do it, it's time to do it. Why should we wait till tomorrow, next week, next month? For fuck's sake, do you know what I mean? What we're sitting here waiting for? We've got to live it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So before we wrap up then, Emma, because I've got to go, so my mum's just texted me saying that her and my dad are coming round shortly. So I was like, don't be early. I said, don't be early. Live on IG ATM, and I'm pretty sure she has got no idea what I'm talking about. So one thing, so obviously, right, sorry, let me rewind. So first of all, with you, I will, in the, when I post this live, in the, in the caption, I'll make sure that I put your handle so that everybody who's joined us today knows where to find you. Go and follow Emma. She's a freaking delicious delight. Yeah, and obviously they can DM you, can't they, if they feel that you're the right coach for them. So that's absolutely brilliant. What is the one thing today, sum it up, one top tip for people before we go?
Enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah.
Put your chakras out. Wear yellow.
I would just say,
makes you happy. Do what makes you bloody happy.
Absolutely. Figure out what lights you up, and you'll know it. Whatever it is that puts a fire up you, and go, more of this, please, and then give yourself permission to fucking well do it.
Bring it on. More, more of
All right then, my
you.
darling. Well, thank you very, very much for joining me today. Thank you everyone who has joined us live. Very much appreciated. To those of you who aren't spam accounts, to those of you who are. Yeah, if anybody wants to know how to work with me, just pop me a DM. And yeah, if you've got anything that you want to talk to me or Emma about today, pop us a comment as soon as this is posted. And yeah, get in touch. All right, have a fabulous Friday, everybody, and a beautiful weekend.
Take care.
Bye.